Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to this episode of Book Cafe podcast. I'm extremely uh, I'm extremely privileged to welcome to today's episode Mr. Amit Biswas, the author of this wonderfully entitled book called Logo Land. So, what exactly this book is about, we're going to hear from Amit himself. And but without further ado, first let's welcome him. So, Amit, hi, how are you doing? How are you? Good to see
Good,
you.
good. Thank you very much, Omar. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time since we met in person. It's nice to meet you online as well. So curious to be part of the first book cafe
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, it's
well,
been an honor. So let's do this.
yeah, let's do this. Okay, so Amit, let's just start. Obviously, as you've alluded to, we do actually know each other. I've known you for a long time now. But for our viewers who may be, discovering you for the very first time, do tell us a bit about yourself, your background, anything that you can share with us before proceeding on to talking about the book. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I know you since I think 2009, if I'm
Yeah,
correct.
2009.
So,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, we had the privilege to work together
Yeah.
under one roof. So it has been a great time, good old days, right?
Yeah.
Um, so of course, that brings me back to where I'm from. Of course, born and raised in Bangladesh. I'm proudly, I always say I'm made in Bangladesh.
Mhm.
So very rooted in Bangladesh.
Mm.
So if you compare me to a tree, the root is in Bangladesh and the rest of the part is growing in different part of the world.
Mhm.
So until high school or college, you call it in Bangladesh, I studied in Bangladesh, then moved to India to do my bachelor's, then came back, studied in Bangladesh, worked in Bangladesh. Then, in 2011, I moved to Netherlands to do my master's. And just like that, almost more than 10 years passed away. And I'm Dutchy, I'm proud Dutchy, and still also a proud Bangladeshi living in the Netherlands. So
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic. So really happy to hear that. So 2011, so that's around 11 years that you've now been in the Netherlands. Is there anything that you miss about being back in Bangladesh? The food, family, etc. Anything at all that you really miss the most?
you touched the right point, the food.
Okay.
Of course,
But
I miss the food. I mean, Bangladesh is a country of flavors. We're a country of flavors, and you yourself, who's a lot into history, and as I know you personally, so that's you know that our country has a blend of flavors from history from different part of the world, and food is one of the things that you really miss. And I thought I would never say this. I do miss the sun
you miss the sun.
sometimes.
Wow. Okay.
Sun, yeah. So because when you're in Bangladesh, you try to hide from the sun because it's so hot,
Yes.
right? And living in the Netherlands, where 50% of the time is raining,
Oh,
right?
okay. So 50%, that's
So
quite a big amount.
50% of the time is raining.
Wow.
So then you started saying, "Oh, I miss the sun."
Okay.
So and friends and family, of course, you miss, right? So that's something you live back, but that's the bargain you have to do when you're living abroad. You cannot have it all.
Mm.
So but now I'm also happy that I've made friends here. I have people whom I call family. So I'm in a very privileged position to have two homes, a lot of friends in both part of the world. And yeah, so I do miss it, but also I have grown my own family and food, and I can cook myself, so that's that helps a lot.
Absolutely. And so I recall that you did come to Bangladesh last year, and then obviously before that we had the COVID pandemic, which is still ongoing. But uh, since 2011, have you had the chance to actually visit Bangladesh more often, or once a year, for example, or every other year, something like that?
No, I kind of made a deal with my parents back home, is that I'll try to come every once in 2 year, and the other year I'll travel somewhere else in the world. So that's a deal I made, or I also try to bring them here time to time.
Mm.
So 2018 I was there because I got married in Bangladesh as well. So that time I was there, and yeah, last time when we met. So
Mm.
It was a good conversation over some coffee we had. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely. And yes, and I can, yes, so definitely it's wonderful to hear that your parents are still here and you obviously have your roots in Bangladesh. So wherever you go, there's a saying that you can take a man out of Bangladesh, but you cannot take Bangladesh out of a man, right?
never, never.
Absolutely. Okay. So Amit, just coming to the book itself, I had the pleasure of reading it last year. And so before our interview, I decided to just go through a quick refresh just to get my mind back to what it was all about. But for our viewers who may not have read the book yet, but are planning to do so, can you tell us what you mean by the title Logo Land and the subtitle as well, a compilation of all the municipality logos of the Netherlands? So can you
So yeah, the logo land. I mean, first of all, the name of the country where I live in right now, my second home, is Netherlands. The land is already there, part of the name, right? And just to give you the word Netherlands comes from the word Nederlanden, means lowland, right? Because Netherlands is below the sea level. Quite geographically, we're quite similar. Very low, very flat country, prone to floods. So the word land is kind of there, and I thought, why not have the word logo into it? Because there's so many logos in a country which is 3 times smaller than ours. So I mean, Bangladesh is small. Netherlands is very small.
very
It's
small?
almost, I can reach from Amsterdam to the south of the point of the country in 2.5 hours or 3 hours by train. So it's that small.
Oh wow!
And in a country, yeah, it is very small, very flat. And the country also has a lot of municipality like we have in Bangladesh as well. And the country has at this moment 352 municipality, and every municipality has a logo. So that's why this book compiles all the logos of the municipalities in the Netherlands in one compact format, easy to read, easy to understand. This book is not just to tell the story, it's also to archive the information. That was a very key part of my research, or the reason I decided to write it and publish it. I could have just written it and put it online. Maybe the one day website would have been gone. So was the information.
Yeah.
So the reason I decided to publish it, so kind of to frame it and forever, whether I am leaving or the website is not there, the book will probably stay. So
absolutely. And Amit, it's interesting that you say that there's currently 352 municipalities, but from what I understood from the book, that at one time, maybe 100 years ago, there was as many as 1,000 municipalities. Is that correct?
yeah, exactly. So there was a lot. So now just try to, I mean, again, the country is so small, right? And they had so many municipalities, right? So there was thousands of them. But over the time, so what they do in the Netherlands is that they try to combine, let's merge the municipalities together. In that way, you have more power, more money. It's a very important part, right? To manage a city well, you also need money. So the unity is kind of power, so they kind of march together. So they take over a small municipality and merge it to make one bigger. Yeah. So that has been happening, and it is an ongoing process. The time I started writing, and by the time I started finish, we have lost several municipalities. When I say lost, they have merged. Okay. So they don't no longer exist. Right. The logos and information have been wiped off. It does not exist anymore. So, so right now, as we speak today, in my book, I have 355, and today is 252, right? Okay. So
so
as you see, yeah. So I lost three of them.
Lost three right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you see. So over the time, it's getting reduced, which is nothing wrong but what is missing is that there has been no initiative from any side, whether called government, to archive this information, because they do archive some information such as the municipality flags, the coat of arms of the cities, but not the logos. They archive that because the coat of arms and the flags is usually awarded by the royal decree of the Netherlands. So it's connected to the royal family, the kingdom of the Netherlands. So that's why they have a control over it. They want to archive those historical information. But logos has a free playing ground, which is also good. It allows you to be more creative, more innovative when it comes to design, but the information gets lost over the time, right? So any design, any logo that we speak of, doesn't matter what, if it's a city or a company or a person even, these logos are designed by a designer, and it is all the logos in Netherlands are purely Dutch designs, and over the time they get lost because they're not been archived, or even the designers don't exist anymore, some of them, right? So that information just gets lost over time.
Interesting.
So you see, I think over the time it will get more reduced. Maybe one day we'll have 200 municipalities. So then we'll lose another 150. So that was one of the drive I realized while doing the research as well, or writing the book.
Interesting. So Amit, tell us a little bit about the initial inspiration that you got for actually writing this book and the project, and the initial interest that you had in the logos itself. Can you tell us a little bit about how that actually came about?
So my background is, of course, marketing, branding. I like that. It's just I really enjoy the psychological part of how marketing and branding drives people, and we see that day to day, every day. We have massive brands in our life, which kind of I dare to say they dictate sometimes our life, right? And they're so powerful. Sometimes you even judge people by the brand they wear, which is wrong, but we do that. So the inspiration, of course, there's a link to that, being a student of marketing or lover of design. And on top of that, the question why is since I think I was a child, I have always asked why does it look like that? Why does it work like that? So that question kind of led me to the troubles of this, writing the book. So what happened is that I live in a city called Eindhoven in the Netherlands. It's one of the fifth largest city in the Netherlands.
Can I ask how far it is from Amsterdam, Eindhoven?
Yeah, from Amsterdam is relatively bigger. So it depends which part of the Amsterdam you are. It's 1 hour 15 minutes by train, so it's not that far. Okay. Though it's like 120, 140 kilometers, but it's quite fast to travel. No traffic jam, so that is good. Okay. So what is happening is that one day in 2016, I'm living in this city called Eindhoven since 2012. So in 2016, the city launched their logo. They're one of their, I think, not the first logo, the current logo, the newest logo. And the logo has been in this, you could see this logos popping out in the city in different places. Yeah. So when you walk to the city center of the city, you see there's called information beacon or information board where you can touch and get information. It's just like a touch screen, pops up in several places in the city, and the logo was there. So I looked at the logo and I said, what is this? Why does it look like that? A simple question, why does it look like that? And that led me to the question led me to the action of finding the information. Just like you and me were a colleague, and if I had a question, I would just walk up to you and say, hey, Omar, can you explain me why it is like that? So I walked up to another colleague where I was working at that time, and I asked him, he's a Dutch guy, he's from this area, and I asked him, hey, do you know this logo? He said, yeah, I know this logo, I said, great. So what does it mean? Why does it look like that? And he says, I have seen it, but I don't know.
So your colleague didn't know what the logo meant.
No. What is the meaning behind it, right? So there's always a meaning. there's nothing in the world, even in the shelf behind you, the design, the way it has been made, there's a reason why it has been made to keep the books on a vertical or a horizontal format. Otherwise, it would have been inclined, right? So I asked him that question, and he didn't know. So that evening, I came home, and after work, I just searched. I found the information very easily because it's one of the few largest cities in the Netherlands, and the information was there. I went back, very the way you explain to a 5-year-old, I explained to him, very simple language. The logo means this, and he found it very interesting. Like, wow, I didn't know that. And that point, at that moment, I don't have the specific date, which day it was, and I thought, that's a great idea. He doesn't know. So Netherlands is very digitalized. It's really extremely digitalized country. So I just went online. There's a website called Central Bureau of Statistics, where you can find all the statistical information, how many municipalities are there, all the list of municipalities in alphabetical order. I just downloaded it.
Understood.
So there was, I think, around 370 or 80 that time when I started. I said, wow, 380, no problem. I will spend 10 minutes a day. Very simple math. And even in a less than a year, I'll probably finish it because the year has 365. Someday I will do more than one. I'll be done with it.
So I'll just interrupt you a little bit here. So what you're saying is that you had budgeted that at least 1 year is the time that you would need to do all your research and get the book out. But in reality, how long did it actually take you to get
it took me 4 years.
4 years. Wow. And I'm sure you must have thought, oh, wow, I must have really mismatched the time or something like that.
No, because I was in the notion that a country that is so digital, where information is nowadays, if you think about it, everything that we don't know, we Google it, right?
True.
I mean, and I thought I'll just Google it and find it. Very, very simple. You know, I kept it very simple, and I was too naive to expect that because I thought there'll be information enough, but there was not. There was not. Even in a country which is highly digitalized, the information was missing. And that led me to, like, I'll be honest with you, Omar, like within that time, there was a phase where I was frustrated. I would not say like it was a ride on a rainbow, like easily I did it, everything was fine, sun was shining. No, there was actually 50% of the rainy days where while writing the book. So there was time I said, what I have got myself into. but there's this motto. I mean, I'm in this sense, I'm pretty black and white. Either I do it or I don't do it.
Absolutely.
There's no half
Absolutely.
done. No.
For sure, for sure. So I am really, it's really interesting to hear that, Amit. So you basically, essentially, what I've gathered is that you like to finish what you start. I think that's very true. And secondly, I was reading a couple of books by Walter Isaacson, the renowned journalist who wrote a lot of biographies. And he said that one of the very common things that he saw in his subjects like Leonardo da Vinci, Steve Jobs, Ben Franklin, etc., is that they were all driven by one thing called curiosity, right? So would you say, and I think that curiosity is basically what led you to this project in the first place. So in addition to being somebody who finishes what he starts, would you say that you're by nature a very curious person? Would you agree?
I'm a very curious person, yes. By nature, comparing myself to Da Vinci or Steve Jobs is like too much, but I would say I am definitely curious. Is in a world where we are bombarded with information. This is my view. This very personal view is that we are constantly since the invention of smartphone, basically, we are bombarded with information. The media kind of guides you through subconsciously how you think and how you should look at things and what you should buy, right? So in that world, we forget sometimes to ask the question why, and one of the reason I think is the not only the curiosity part. I asked myself that question as well. Why did I write that? Why didn't I write that in Bangladesh, right? Why didn't I write that when I was doing my bachelor studies in India? So I think another important thing that I came to the answer to is that perspective, curiosity combined with perspective. That I always say the perspective matters, because when you and me travel to a different country, we see different things, right? And that's what makes traveling fun. If otherwise it would have been like, oh, why did I travel 5,000 kilometers and still everything is the same? And what intrigues us, our brain, is that the way the houses are built, the way the signboards are written, everything, even the trees, subconsciously, that's what makes a holiday great, because it's something different. And it has to do with the perspective, because Omar or Amit, being born in Bangladesh, has been rooted to a certain way of growing, and we take things for granted. When I walk in the city in Dhaka, my lovely hometown, I never question a lot of things, because I have always seen it. It has always been there. I've never questioned why it is like that. But the moment you come to Netherlands, you start taking picture of things where Dutch people are like, why Omar is taking picture of that? It is just a normal sign. But again, when a Westerner comes to Bangladesh, you see they're taking picture of things, and we are looking at them as if, why are you taking picture of that? Because the perspective, the way the person is coming from, where it's coming from, it's differing to that him or her, and that leads to the curiosity or the question like, oh, that is interesting. Let me take a picture. So when I brought my my in-laws in Bangladesh in 2018, they asked me many questions, which I have never asked myself about Bangladesh, right? Yeah. So I think the curiosity led with the perspective of in the Netherlands, that the logos, because in Bangladesh we have city corporations, right? We have logos as well, but you don't see them that often. Or it's very government design driven. You have our water lily everywhere, take it for granted. We don't ask that. So when I saw that there was something different happening here, I call the glitch in the matrix, right? So that was basically it. And I asked like, why it is like that? Why they have it? Why don't we have it? So I think it's a combination of both.
That's very interesting. Yes, you're absolutely right. I think that whenever we think of Bangladesh, the first, in terms of logos, the first thing that comes to mind would obviously be the water lily. The tigers, obviously, very well associated, even though hopefully they won't be becoming extinct anytime soon. But Amit, you mentioned as well during our previous discussions that obviously you expected that maybe everything would be digitized, and so it would be very easy to actually do your research. But apart from the challenge of not finding enough information through the digital archives, what about the human aspect of it? Like, for example, when you were calling, I presume you may have called a lot of people to try and understand what was the history behind the logos. Did you face any opposition or anything like that, or were they cooperative, etc.? Can you tell us about that?
Yes and no. So it's a mix of both, right? So now the difficult part of doing something that has been never done before, you will face obstacle, because you don't have any proof point to the person saying, hey, I am doing this because this has been done before. So somebody randomly asking you about a logo, calling your office right now and asking, hey, tell me, you're like, why, who is this? Why they're asking about this? Because it's not usually a question that has been asked to me, right?
True.
So like going back to the topic of digitalization, so there was some information which were not existing even in this municipality itself. So a municipality of Arnhem, for example, they did not have the information. They just didn't. So because when it was launched, their first logo, and by the time I was talking to the communication advisor of that municipality, there's been many people have come and gone in that position. And for some reason, the information have gone with them. The new person that is working has no idea. right?
Right.
That's a very tricky situation. I mean, I'm having a like a kind of a blockade, right? So obstacle. So in that case, I went to the archives. So I literally drove 140 kilometers to a city archive, searched there. There was a one single piece of paper which contained that information, right? Right. So you book a time, reserve a time, they wait for you, they give you the paper, you research, you write it down. You cannot take it home because it's archive. Then you come back home. So just for the 10 minutes, you drive 1.5, 2 hours one way. And then so that's one. And I didn't stop there. I even took a scan of that information and I shared that with the municipality. I said, keep it because you might need it. You need to know if you're working in a communication department, right? So that is one. And other obstacle, for example, I contacted the several municipalities and you might not get feedback, right? Because they're like, who is this guy? Who is Amit? Who is messaging me? Why? Why they're, because sometimes I need to give you the side of the story as well. The true fact is, a lot of time, the media is also can be quite harsh on this. Because like every city in the world, every city has problems, right? That's why there's a government in a city who manages or try to solve the problem. Sometimes you can question, why are you investing money on designing or a logo where you should be keeping the street clean, the lights running? So there's sometimes a backlash saying, why are you spending the government money, my tax money on this? So that's sometimes the communication advisor a little bit cautious.
Right. And what
Right.
would be your response to that, Amit, for the people who are criticizing the use of, using money to create these logos rather than keep the streets clean? What would be your response to those kind of
No, my response is actually very simple. Is that when you go to a city and where you see is beautifully branded, even a country, right? And when you look at that, you say, "Oh, I want to be that." Why, for example, like why Bangladesh is not doing enough for tourism? We can always complain about that, right? So but but it's easy to point a finger at another country and say, oh, Thailand is doing it better, Singapore is doing it better, right? If you wanna, let's say I am here, this is Bangladesh and this is Singapore, okay, and I wanna be here, so there's a bridge to cross and it's not gonna happen automatically. You need to build that bridge, and that bridge requires money.
Absolutely.
Labor, time. So that's number one. And when you do a branding well, when you establish your country or a city well branded, well represented to the outside world, it attracts investment and attracts people. It helps the business to boost. So in the long term, you benefit from it rather than not benefit from it. And you can literally compare that with the products that in a day-to-day we have, which is, for example, we are willing to pay a well-designed, well-branded product a little bit more money compared to not so well-designed or well-branded, because the brand value, there's the price you get, there's a abstract value to it. So I think should be one of the motivation to do it. You don't have to do it every year. You do it once, and if you have a timeless, very important, timeless design and a well communication strategy, you can have for a long time, 20 years, just eyes closed and benefit from it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that should be, that should be one of the motivation to do it.
True, true. Very well said. I think that exactly right. So basically, it is the branding that eventually pays off in the long run. So it is kind of like a return on investment. And so,
Exactly.
yes, I think that you pointed out extremely well. So Amit, just bringing it back to Bangladesh a little bit. I think that you mentioned once that you were also trying to help, uh, uh, do something similar with regards to the municipalities in Bangladesh. Is that something that you're currently doing, or looking at it as a future project, or anything like that?
I did look into it. I did look into it. In Bangladesh has A2I, A2I is a digital segment part of the, I think, Ministry of Information, I guess, and Technology. They're busy with that in some shape and form, but I think there's a lot to improve, I guess. So recently, through the book, I got to know several people. That was what was amazing. I got to know the ambassador of Bangladesh in the Netherlands, and recently he has given the book to our mayor Atik for Dhaka City North as an example. That's one of the reasons also, even though I'm in Netherlands, the language is predominantly Dutch. I wrote the book in English. It's not just to be, because Dutch people, almost 90 to 95% people speak pretty good English. It was I would say, call it a crazy or brave move to do it in English in a country where I could have definitely have more reach when it had been Dutch.
Was in Dutch.
But my reach I didn't want to limit to a geographical boundary. I wanted to expand it outside Netherlands. So the book was given by the ambassador of Bangladesh, Mr. Riaz Hamidullah, to our mayor recently as an example, also something to learn from. So if Bangladesh municipalities or any municipality in Bangladesh is willing to learn from it, I'm open to support them. Why not? I mean, it would be great. I'll be very proud to do that, right? So for my own city. And I think Bangladesh has, like every city or every municipality, such a rich history. Like no matter where you go, which division you go, they have their own little things that makes them, right? And I think we can highlight them as well. So that can be based on unique characteristic, maybe based on the history, maybe, or can be maybe something that you strive to be, right? Maybe you don't have a history, maybe you want to be something. So you can also portray that through your logos and branding. So I think, and that will attract people, and that will make you feel proud to live in, for example, in Dhaka, right? That, or I mean, it would be even, I'll give you the most wildest thing I found is that the city logo of Eindhoven, people even tattoo it on their hand and in their body.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That is permanent, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That is, yeah. So you see that the people love it. They're not afraid of it. They put it on their T-shirt, on their cap. How often have you seen a logo of a municipality of any of Bangladesh privately putting a logo on the T-shirt and proudly walking around?
Yes, absolutely. I think that yes, you're absolutely right, Amit. And I can only recall I love New York as the only other city or world-renowned city, probably, obviously New York is a powerhouse, but yes, you're absolutely right. And with regards to the conscious decision that you made, Amit, to have the book in English instead of Dutch, I think you're absolutely right that it will obviously reach a global audience rather than just confined to the Netherlands or to Dutch speakers. And I think that even before this interview, I was actually at least thinking to myself, okay, should we have it in English or should we actually have it in Bangla, so that there's pros and cons to both. But I think that we made the right call in having it in English, so that we can have that global reach, obviously, for the book itself.
No, I'm open. I'm open if somebody reaches out and says, Amit, I want to translate it in Bengali and have it published in Bangladesh. Of course.
That was actually going to be my follow-up question. That is the book going to be translated into Bengali, Bangla anytime soon, or are you looking for?
No, I haven't. I'm open to it, absolutely, right? Because knowledge is grown only when it's shared. I'm not confining it to limited resources, right? That only it should be here. So if somebody is open, says, Amit, I think great idea. I have something more to add. Let's take something from your book, add something from Bangladesh. Let's remix it. Let's go for it. So why not?
Yeah.
Right. So that's why instead of keeping the knowledge to myself, I let it go. I said, it's out there. Have it, make it your own. So any language, why only Bengali? Right. So it can be Dutch, can be German, can be French.
Absolutely.
So any language is more than welcome. But right now there's no plan to translate it in other languages.
Understood. And so if I understand correctly, currently at this point in time, the book is only available in English.
Correct.
Is it available in Bangladesh, for example? I know that I got my copy, obviously specially delivered to me from Europe. But will it be available in Bangladesh anytime soon for your fans here who would want to read it?
Right now it's not. You can directly contact me. I can of course send it to you. That is not an issue. And in Bangladesh, if some bookstores, for example, yeah, Bookworm, which recently moved, or some other reading cafe in Banani, there's couple of them, right? So, or libraries, for example, if you're interested to have the book, of course I'll send it. Right now it's not directly available. But if anybody interested or publishers who are interested. But what is interesting to add to that is that it not necessarily has to be for selling, right? The book is right now available in the 12 universities as well in the world. And very interestingly enough, it's predominantly in North America.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the book is actually traveling more than I have traveled. So, which is very, yeah. So right now I didn't write it for academic purpose, but the book is now also used for academic purposes,
being used
right?
Yeah. So Amit, is it sorry to interrupt. So if I may ask, how well has the book been received by the general public as well as the world of academics? How would you respond to that with regards to that?
I think of course, as I was doing something totally out of my comfort zone, and I was actually nervous the day the book was printed and actually was published. I was very nervous because I was doing something which has not been written before. So I was really curious, like cautious, like how people gonna react. And I was writing about a country where I was not born. Right? And this information is sensitive information. It has to be very accurate. You cannot just write something out of your own head, just and your own interpretation. So I was very positively surprised at how well it was received. The amount of positive feedbacks I got, I was running high on dopamine, I would say. It was like constant compliment. And the best part is, Omar, is that when people whom you absolutely don't know, living in a different part of the country in the Netherlands, writing a message. So that person is, first of all, in a country which is very individualistic, crossing the boundary of individualism, finding my email or my contact to write me a message, that is the highest compliment I would get.
So Amit, Amit, what I would like to ask is, obviously, moving from the corporate sector to, to trying to write this book, it surely must take a lot of support from your better half as well as from your family. So can you tell us a little bit about that process? How supportive has your family and friends and loved ones been with regards to this project?
The honest answer is, first of all, people thought I was a bit crazy. I mean, that's the honest answer, because first of all, people are like, what? Why? Like, they also ask you the question, right? Why? Why are you doing this? Why this topic? Because again, it's something that it's not has been done. So when you do something like that, there's a lot of questions like, why are you doing this? Why can you not do it like that? Right? So but then later on, when they see that you're really passionate about it, they're like, oh, he's serious. So my wife asked me a question. I remember when I was very initial, because she was seeing me sometime. She had to deal with it, right? Because I was doing that in the evening, right? In my free time. Could have been watching Netflix. Instead of that, I was doing it like I was coming back from office 5:36, take an hour break, 7 o'clock I will start in the evening. It would go until it's like a addiction. You go on, you want to search, you want to find as much as you can. So time would fly, and it's 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening.
Mm.
And sometimes I'm battling my own tiredness because I'm so addicted to it, right? So, which is also not good. There must be a good balance. So sometimes she asked me that, why are you writing this? I said, I'm writing it for me, not for anybody else. I'm writing it for me.
Mm.
So I always like the quotes, write the book that you want to read.
I think
Right.
that's such a nice way to put it. Yeah. So you're writing
So
this book for yourself and not for anybody else. So yeah.
no, not for anybody else. And if somebody else, and I also believe there must be, in a population where we just hit 8 billion right now in the world, there must be somebody else also interested in that. It cannot be just me. It
Absolutely.
cannot be just... So my goal was that I write it myself, I publish it, and if somebody reads it, good. If one book is sold, I'm the happiest guy in the world. If not, I wrote it for me. So my bar, you see, was very low. So I mean, again, the topic doesn't need to be resonating with everybody, right? I mean, not everybody in the world likes Harry Potter, for example, and there's type of people who loves Star Wars, right? So you cannot force somebody to like Star Wars, and somebody will be like, no, I like something else, right? So
Absolutely.
so when it comes to support, my parents, my dad, my sister, they always supported me what I have done. So it was always there. They, of course, coming from a Bangladeshi society or any society, for example, I should not just label it Bangladeshi, that our society is programmed in a way that you go to school, go to university, get a job, stick to it, then retire, then spend a couple of years before your best time of your life is over. That's how we are programmed, right? It's like we're in a hamster wheel. And when somebody tries to step out of the hamster, it's like, what are you doing? Like, why?
Absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely love the way you've put that, Amit, a hamster wheel. And I fully agree with you with regards to Bangladeshi society, where, sometimes there is that peer pressure or pressure from, parents or guardians that you have to
Yes.
be either this or that. But there's, in that way, I think we're actually also stifling creativity in our, in our kids and the next generation, etc. But I do salute you for taking the option of the hard option, which is to actually go through with writing something that you are very passionate about. I think that as somebody who absolutely loves history, I can say that I've been absolutely blown away by this book, and I say it in all sincerity that this is archiving and ensuring that it is there for the next generation and for future generations to come. I think that this is absolutely a wonderful endeavor that you have embarked on, and I'm
Thank you.
extremely glad to see that it has gone through to fruition. And so, Amit, I need to ask one more thing, and that is with regards to, obviously, because we both started, with the corporate life.
Yeah.
Where are you right now in your life with regards to, the corporate life? Are you back in the corporate life, or are you still working as an author full time, or how's it going? Just what I'm curious to understand.
So I'm a daytime employee at a company, and evening time I'm still doing. I have my own business as
Okay.
well, so a consultancy business, and the logo line is also part of that.
Mm.
So I'm doing that both. So in other words, in Netherlands we call it keeping yourself busy. So,
Absolutely.
um, so I in 2020, right, just in the beginning of pandemic, when we just got into lockdown, right, in March, I think the March was the month like this happened, right? That year I decided to step away from the corporate life and fully focus on that, like fully. There was because I realized that I thought writing the book was tough. Writing the book is the easy part.
Interesting.
Getting it published
Yeah.
is the toughest
The
part,
tough one.
because there's not only my book is being published in the world, there's thousands or hundreds per day is being published. Now, if you, I also want to add that to the listeners, is that if you want to write a book and you want to have it published, have it available in the bookstores in your country or outside, please make sure you do it with a reputed publisher, not with just anyone. You can do it self-publication, of course. Then the profit and blah blah is more because you keep all of it. But the plus side, when you do it with a renowned publisher, again, the brand name of the publisher attracts the bookstore, says, oh, it's published by this and that, must be a good book. Let me, but at the same time, publisher works on your favor to push the book towards its own network, right? Yeah. So I think that is one of the key points I think people should remember. I would suggest, and in the corporate life, so I took the decision to stop working and fully focus on that. So the whole design process, everything was fully involved with the publisher, and it's a lot of work because collecting those logos, writing it, the design of it. So
you're right. In fact, actually, that was going to be my follow-up question. That I can see from the physical copy of the book itself that everything has been very meticulously planned. And I can also recall during one of our previous conversations where you said that it was you who actually, took every single initiative to, from the cover, whether it would be paperback or hard copy, etc., along with the font and everything. So you were involved in the entire process end to end. Is that correct?
yes. So I didn't design it, the cover. It was designed by the designer and the publishing house, but everything of it that I wanted to have a hard copy because the hard cover has a benefit. It's also outstand the time. The time is one of the biggest challenge in personally because we get older, just like a book gets older. Book is being held or touched by people over time. It has to withstand the power of time, right? A hardcover ensures that the book is good. Also, the binding of it, right? Sometimes we buy books, the pages come off. That's really sad. And also the color, because this book is about logos, it's about color. So the color, the right color has to be rightly portrayed. So when you just imagine when you do a color paint or watercolor painting, you put the brush on a paper, the color being sucked into the paper. So the paper has to be right paper that it portrays or shines the logo, right? So, and also how you structure the information, how you put it. So everything, so I had a great publisher, Lecturis in Eindhoven. They're really renowned in the Netherlands, in the world for design books, art books and photography. Their job is that they live and breathe on that how can I portray a picture or image best way in a physical form. So yeah, so
for sure. I think that's really wonderful to hear. So Amit, I cannot let you go without asking you one question, which is, out of all these 352 plus logos that are in the book, do you have one which is a personal favorite of yours? Any one logo that you really like?
oh, that's that's a tough question as always, because design is subjective, right? So what you like, what I like, and my favorite logo is of course the Eindhoven logo because of the practicality part of it, how well accepted it is, and I dare to say this is the first open source logo in the world. When I say open source, the logo or the city invites the community, the citizens, to participate through the logo. So you can make the logo the way you want. It doesn't keep the form as it is, but you can put different colors, you can different design into it. If somebody Googles the logo, Eindhoven logo on Google image search, you will see different variety, but the main core is the same. I love that. That is unbelievable. I never seen it anywhere like that how great it is. And another logo is claimed to be the first logo in the Netherlands, designed in 1972-73 by a very famous Dutch graphics designer, Ben Bosch. That logo is called Gemeente Dronten, D-R-O-N-T-E-N. It's a tongue twister. Dronten logo. So it's in 1970, and there was a big movement in the world regarding against the nuclear bomb. There was a protest and he used that logo very cleverly to portray that message as well, that we should focus on peace over nuclear war or nuclear bomb.
Wow.
So I found that very bold in a government world, bureaucratic world, to get it past the authority and have it. So he combined that, he represented the city. At the same time, he used the design structure in a way which is a sign of a peace sign in a blockage, which also says I'm against nuclear bomb or war. At the same time, I'm for peace. But at the same time, he used 7 blocks, which also represent the 7 villages which belongs to the city.
Oh, wow.
So I found that very, very fascinating.
Yes, sounds extremely impressive. I mean, the thinking that went behind to be able to give multiple messages with one logo. That's absolutely wonderful. So, Amit, I know that you're quite the avid reader. So, can you tell us, are there any books that you're reading right now that is on your bucket list or currently reading for our viewers?
I whenever I have time, I like to read. I do read a lot online, also on books as well. Some books, I'm reading a book called Ikigai.
Ikigai. Okay. Yes.
Ikigai. It's a small book, easy to read, about life.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Influenced by a lot of inspired with the Japanese culture. I think I found that reading it right now is interesting. But I do have to mention 2 books. One is called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. When I was going through tough time of frustration of not finding information or not getting information, there was a time I think I took 2-3 months gap to, instead of squeezing the lemon until it gets super bitter, I let it because I love it. It's a passion I was working on. I didn't want to hate it. And then I was on a flight, and I like to read books in the flight because you don't have any distraction. Zero distraction. Instead of looking at a screen with a horrible light, getting your eyes red, it's easier to read a book.
Right.
So I read a book. So I was reading the book called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon.
Right.
And he's a speaker, he's a designer, and after reading the book, and there he comes up with write the book that you want to write. He has a very easy diagram. He says, has it been written? Yes or no?
Right.
No, then write it. And if it's yes, do you like what you read? If the answer is no, then you
write it.
Rewrite it. Right? It's beautiful. And I remember I got down from the flight. I came home, didn't unpack my suitcase. I started researching again. So it was so that was one. And there's another book by an Australian designer called Design Your Life by Vincent Frost. Brilliant book. He explains the ups and downs in his life, how he, and in a very simple, it's kind of like autobiography, but it is not. And very nice messages in it. So I would highly recommend those 2 books, definitely. So right now I'm reading Ikigai, but also I will start after that book on Islamic art and design, because I was visiting Andalusia region in Spain, where I was fascinated by that, how much influence Spain has, which we rarely know, a lot of us don't know, of Islamic architecture and design. And even the word Andalusia is an Arabic word. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but definitely the 700-year history of Muslim Spain. I think that's a very interesting time period. And I can remember during that trip, your trip, we did have a couple of conversations on social media about that. So speaking of social media, Amit, before we let you go, tell us where can your fans and your well-wishers find you on social media? Are you active on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc.?
Yeah, I'm of course very active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn very active. I'm also Instagram. You can reach out to me on Instagram. I know if you search Amit Biswas, you'll find thousands of it. It's a common name in India. So I would say at AB_NL. You can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. I think Amit Biswas. So if you just search my name with the word Logoland, you'll reach out to me also in my website. AmitBiswas.nl. So if you just want to catch up, just want to know something, reach out. Any question, doesn't have to be about book necessarily. Just a virtual coffee is also good. So
absolutely, why not? So definitely we'll have those links in the description below so that everybody will be able to find you that easily. So Amit, we've run out of time, but I would like to just once again thank you for your time and for your patience and everything with regards to this interview. I think that I've had a wonderful conversation with you. I will say that as far as I'm concerned, you are one of the brightest young minds that have come out of Bangladesh, and we're all very proud of you here. That you're most likely going to be one of our greatest exports to Europe, as well as to the rest of the world. So kudos to you and to everything that you're doing. By the way, do you have any future writing projects or books coming up before?
I get that question a lot.
Okay.
I am thinking of right now, as I said, there's new municipalities coming up or new branding is coming up. I want to create an archive digitally right now. I'm thinking of launching a website where I'm archiving and maintaining that, because the limitation of a book is you cannot update the page. Right? Or you cannot add a page once it's published. You have to reprint again.
Right.
So I'm thinking of that. And I'm also open to anybody, this message for anybody. If somebody is interested in about their own country, want to do the similar research, have a Logoland version for Bangladesh or for Germany or for Israel, I don't know, or for any country that matters, I want to do that. I'm willing to cooperate and make that happen. I think that's share my knowledge, because this is not a knowledge to be confined. This is for sharing. I did not patent it, nothing. Go for it, take the name, make your own version. And I'm happy to collaborate. Or you join me, we do it together. Because 4 years is a long time. I also realize it would be much easier and fun to do when you do it together in a team. At least 1 or 2 people, so that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think collaboration will definitely help. So Amit, once again, we thank you for your time. And as I mentioned, I meant what I said before, that I believe that you're obviously one of the brightest young minds that have come out of our country. And your success in the Netherlands, in Europe, all over the world is also our success. So we're very proud of everything that you've done so far. And we wish you all the best for your future projects and future endeavors.
Thank you very much, Omar, for your kind words. And it's just been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you success with this podcast and webcast. So all the best. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right. Take care.